Throughout the land, I am known as a bit of a cartoon expert, a master of the cartoon arts, if you will. I might as well use my endless wisdom to rank some Nickelodeon characters, considering that we've got a brand new Nickelodeon All-Star Smash right around the corner, All-Star Brawl. We're gonna see how they would rank up power level wise to each other compared to one another. I've already done the Cartoon Network characters, and if you'd like to see that, I'm sure the dang little dinky little link is somewhere on the screen. But right now, Cartoon Network doesn't exist because this is Nickelodeon. We are Nickelodeon boys now. So we're just gonna slap right into this bad puppy with our boy Timmy Turner. We're going reverse alphabetical order, going a little crazy on you. So Timothy Turner is pretty powerful. He's a pretty powerful character right out the gate. I will say, immediate S tier we have right here. Timmy himself obviously isn't anything to write home about, but when you got the power of those dang fairies on your side, things get a little nasty. He can wish for tons and tons of things that would make him a very serious threat. Him himself, like I said, he's just 10 years old. He's pretty frail. He's not all that intelligent. He's kind of dim-witted. He's kind of a little egotistical at times. Himself as a character, not the most impressive specimen. But with the fairies, he's basically his own little demigod. But there are stipulations to what the fairies can do. They do have rules that they must follow. It can't just wish for anything in the world. He is powerful, but he's not all powerful. He can wish for superpowers. He can wish for giant mech suits. But he is still a bit limited by the rules and just by his own lack of intelligence. He's S tier for sure, but we'll see how he ranks against other people as we go. Next, we go on to the Thornberries. The Thornberries are a fun bunch. I wouldn't say they're super powerful, of course. They're mostly just a family of pretty normal humans, but one of the daughters can speak to animals, and the son is like a wild boy. They could definitely fend off some homies on their own. The daughter who can speak to animals alone can be a pretty big threat. Just having the power of animals on your side, it's like a more useful Aquaman. You have a much wider range than Aquaman could have ever dreamed. So I would put them in B tier. Like I said, they don't pop off. They aren't crazy powerful. They could be bested by a lot of people, but with the whole family of them, with the daughter that can speak to animals, the son that's kind of wild, he's a wild card, he might bite your ear off, you never know, pull a Mike Tyson on you. The dad could probably throw a few punches if he really wanted to, and he's voiced by Tim Curry, so right there, honestly, that should put them S tier alone, being voiced by Tim Curry, but we can't let favoritism like that sway our decisions here too much. And then we go on to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a group of 4 of them. They work pretty well together as a team. They are all very capable martial artists. They all have decently effective weapons. I would say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are a solid A tier. They aren't super powerful. They aren't throwing down the biggest of threats in S tier, but they could definitely hold their own against a lot of people on this tier list. They've got a sizable array of skills at their disposal. So I would say A tier is definitely a good place for them. Next, we've got Spongebob. Oh, the face of Nickelodeon, our baby boy. Spongebob is kind of weird. He's not like the most threatening guy, but he's also been shown to have a little bit of magic behind him, a little bit of secret sauce on his Krabby Patty. While he is oftentimes shown as being a bit of a baby, a bit of a wimpy boy, a bit childish and weird, he has been shown to fend off a few formidable foes in one way or another. He's got his karate, but he is kind of an inconsistent fighter. I don't think he's all that powerful. I think he could hold his own somewhat all right, just because of his ability to use karate and blow bubbles that might be somewhat effective against someone. I mean, they helped in his fight with Dennis in the movie when he blew bubbles and they went in his eyes. I would put him in B tier. I don't think he's crazy, but I don't think he's the weakest. I think he can hold his own relatively decently, but I would say he's low B tier. He's probably lowest B tier. He's not quite the wimpy Wimpersons of C tier. Then we've got Rugrats All Grown Up, another kind of just squad of homies. These are all little teenagers, the grown-up Rugrats, if you couldn't guess by the name. They're not all that powerful. Sure, there's a lot of them but I don't think any of them are particularly potent combatants. I'd put them in C. I'd put him slightly below SpongeBob just because I feel like SpongeBob has at least been shown to have a somewhat decent grasp on combat occasionally with his karate. He's definitely able to hold his own with that, though inconsistent he may be in many other departments. But the Rugrats all grown up, I've never seen them in any combat situation where they've been all that impressive to me. So I would say C tier, despite the fact that they do have numbers on their side. C tier is where I will place them. Then we've got the regular OG Rugrats. Since they are literally babies and they have not much combat potential of any kind, I'll put them in D. They are probably the lowest character on this list, which makes sense considering they're all infants. Then we go on to Rocco. Rocco's a little wallaby, living a very human life. Pretty small in stature. He's not all that impressive physically. He's actually been shown to be kind of frail. I don't particularly recall any times in the series where he's really gone off in a big way. He might be in C tier just because he certainly doesn't pop off, but he's at least strong enough to beat the absolute weak boys in D tier, so I'll put them in C. Next, we got Rocket Power, a group of pretty athletic young individuals, I must say. They might not be particularly powerful fighters, but they are certainly very athletic. They're an athletic group, and although they might not be particularly well trained in fighting, I'm sure just their athleticism plus their numbers would help them to win in a decent amount of combat scenarios. I would put them probably just below the wild Thornberries. They could probably beat up SpongeBob pretty big just with their numbers alone. Pretty solid mid-tier, not crazy, but above the average Joe. Then we got Ren and Stimpy, which is an interesting one. Ren and Stimpy are kind of all over the place, but I do feel like Ren and Stimpy do have some combat potential, especially Ren. Ren, when he's angry, seems like he is a monster, and Stimpy just seems like he's a damage sponge. He could just take hits all day, especially from Ren. I don't think they're extremely powerful. I think they would get trounced by Rocket Power, but I think they could potentially beat someone like SpongeBob. So I'll put them B tier. I feel like they're pretty middle of the road. They can be pretty decently formidable, especially when Ren gets angry. All right, next we go on to Jimmy Neutron. Ooh, a big name in the Nickelodeon cinematic universe. Jimmy is a very formidable foe. He's not called the boy genius for nothing. This kid is a smart cookie. With all the inventions he has at his disposal, his very intelligent mind, his strategic thinking, I think Jimmy is a very powerful threat. I think he has an arsenal of things he can work with, and plus just his brilliant mind. I think that would put him ahead of a lot of the competition here. The real tricky one is that I've been real hotly debating is Jimmy more powerful than Timmy? My initial thought is Jimmy might be a little more powerful just because Timmy has to follow the rules that the fairy rule book, the rules. He can't quite do everything. He can do a lot, but he can't do everything. And Timmy himself isn't the brightest character. He's not really known for being a very strategic, very creative combatant. Jimmy, on the other hand, is very intelligent. He can invent dang near anything he wants to, but also I can also see Timmy being more powerful than Jimmy just because of the almost seemingly endless array of possibilities he could pull out against him with the fairies. On this tier list, they're the most equal combatants. They're just so neck and neck that I don't know if I could pick one over the other. I'll just keep it right here as it is, but although Jimmy will be slightly ahead of Timmy right here, just imagine they're pretty much dead even. Then we go on to Jenny, XJ9, from one of my personal favorite cartoons from Nickelodeon. Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot is obviously a very, very powerful fighter. She is capable of taking down massive threats on her own. She has a massive array of artillery at her disposal. She is a pretty intelligent fighter as well. She's definitely no slouch in the brains department. And I would say that she is definitely S tier. I don't think she's as powerful as these two, as Jimmy and Timmy. But I think she is very strong. I think she could definitely hold her own in a fight against all the other people below S tier. I think she's strong. I think she's a powerful fighter for sure. Next, we go on to Invader Zim. I think Zim is relatively powerful. He's decently strong. He's got some weaponry to work with. He's a fairly intelligent, though very egotistical fighter. He might get in his own way a bit. He does have a bit of character flaws going on working against him, but I do think he has enough weaponry at his disposal and enough kind of creative strategic thinking to where he would be A tier. I would put him below the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles though, as I don't think he would be able to take them on, just because physically he is still very frail. He's not all that impressive, he's not all that strong, but his technology and his somewhat decent intelligence I think would lend him a hand into getting into A tier. Next we go on to Fanboy and Chum Chum. Fanboy and Chum Chum, very annoying characters, not all that intelligent, pretty dim-witted, not very strong, pretty frail actually. Honestly, not many redeeming qualities with Fanboy and Chum Chum. They're D tier. They're two children that dress up like superheroes, yes, but they don't perform like superheroes. They could beat up on the infants, obviously, but only slightly. And next we go on to El Tigre. I really like El Tigre. I like the little Latin representative here. His design is really cool. But he is also a very capable fighter. He is basically a superhero slash villain. He's kind of at the crux of making the decision on which way he wants to go in the show, if he wants to be good, if he wants to be naughty. But either way, he is a strong fighter. He could take out decently sized foes. He's not immensely powerful, but he is very, very deceivingly strong, despite what his small stature might make you think. So I would put him in A. I would put him in low A. I don't think he could beat the rest of the A tier, but I think he can definitely hold his own against most everyone else. Next, we go on to Doug. Doug is not really an impressive fighter. He's another kid with no real special abilities. He's not really known for any physical strength or stamina or anything like that. Anything that would give him an edge in a fight. So I'm thinking he's D tier. He's just kind of a normal guy. I'll put him ahead of Fanboy and Chum Chum because he's larger. I think he's older and he could probably stomp them, but not too many other people, I would say, just because he is a child with not really any abilities at his disposal. Now we go on to Danny Phantom, possibly my favorite Nickelodeon show. Danny is a powerful boy. He's basically a superhero with ghost powers. He could be invisible. He could shoot ghostly beams of energy. He can possess people. He ain't no slouch. He's a strong character. He's powerful. And definitely as the series went on, towards the end of the series, he had some pretty strong abilities with the ghostly whale, things like that. He is no slouch. I would put him top of A tier. I don't think he's quite powerful enough to take down S tier, but I think he is very strong. He is a decently intelligent individual when it comes to combat. He's taken down pretty chonky threats before, so I would say Danny is definite top of A tier. He could take down everyone below him pretty easily, I would say, but S tier I think is just barely out of his reach. Then we go on to Cat Dog. Alone in the world is a little cat dog. And I liked Cat Dog a lot. But is he a strong fighter? I don't really think so. I don't think Cat Dog is necessarily a wimp, though. I don't think they are super easily taken down by a few of the characters. I think some of the weaker characters would have trouble taking down a dog of any kind, let alone a dog that is also a cat. And if nothing else, their anatomy would just confuse the opponent to death. So I would put Cat Dog in C tier. I would put him slightly ahead of Rugrats All Grown Up. Though they do have numbers on their side, I do think that Cat Dog would have the advantage. Then we go on to Arnold. Unfortunately, another pretty standard, normal child. Not really any abilities, not really any feats of strength that's ever been shown in the show before. I would put him again in D tier, unfortunately. He is just a child with a very fun shape for a head, but that's really the only thing going for him. He might be able to like stab the side of his head, the pointy side of his head, into someone's like heart. That might be an effective strategy. But then again, we've never been shown exactly how sharp those corners are on his noggin. So who's to say if that's even a possibility? But I would say D tier makes sense for a standard, normal, regular child. Second to last, we have angry beavers. I mean, they're angry and they're beavers. Beavers can be kind of threatening, but beyond that, I don't think they're all that much of a threat. I think just because of their animalistic nature, they do have some sharp little teeth. They could probably get savage on some homies. But beyond that, I don't think they're really getting the best of anybody. So I would put them in C. And last but not least, we have Aang, the last of the airbenders. Aang, of course, is an incredibly capable fighter. Being able to bend all of the elements to his will is an extremely strong ability. And that alone would put him in S tier. But just his combat ability, his mastery of those elements, and just his intelligence as a fighter, I think puts him top of S tier, I think he would be able to take down all the other S tiers. Jimmy and Timmy would be tough, but I think just his mastery of the elements, it's such a powerful ability to have complete control over all of the elements. Earth, water, fire, air. He could just bend them to his will. Extremely powerful, extremely capable fighter. So I would say that Aang is probably the strongest, most powerful Nickelodeon character, and Rugrats are the weakest. So hopefully the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl game will kind of reflect this tier list. I'm assuming they'll base their character power levels based off of this tier list right here. You're welcome, Nickelodeon, for me setting up the power levels for you. But what do you think of this tier list? Where would you plop some of these spicy lads? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will catch you in the next one, my pimps.